Good evening. My name is Mark Lombardo. I'm the chairman of the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame Committee, and I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. I'd like to thank the members that are sitting over to my right that are members of the Hank O'Donnell Inductee Committee. The Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame was established in November of 1987. It was started and named after the death of the beloved sports editor of the Waterbury Republican-American. The purpose of the Hall of Fame was to honor the legacy and memory of Hank for his contributions to the sports community of the city of Waterbury. Tonight, I would like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, Bob Brown.
Thank you, Mark. I'm really pleased to see so many people here. It makes us feel good that the families of Jackie Harmon and Mr. Charlo are recognized and came out for two special people. I'm going to introduce Mayor Neil O'Leary to say a few words, and then we'll proceed with the program.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Mark, thanks for your leadership on the committee, and of course, thanks to the committee members. You know, the history of Waterbury boxing is so rich. Several times over the last years, people have said, you know, are we going to someday recognize two of the greatest boxers that ever came out of the city of Waterbury? And Chris Dorso, who is a alderman and a police commissioner, is Jesse's Charlo's boyfriend, and there was a lot of conversation in that regard. And then, ironically, around that time, Bob Garthwaite Sr., who owns Clydell Manufacturing, you know, Bob is 87 years old, and he had a conversation with me not that long ago, not only himself, but his son, and then their grandson. So it's a junior and then junior. And they were very partial to Jackie Harmon. First of all, they're big boxing people and supported Jackie Harmon during the day in the 20s and 30s, but also because he was their very first employee. And Mr. Garthwaite is a very, he's an incredible person, and he's one of these guys who does everything under the radar. He's been an enormous supporter of me in the city of Waterbury, and if it wasn't for him and a couple other guys, we wouldn't have the Cross on Holy Land and we wouldn't have the Pell Center. And so I was kind of lobbying Bobby and Mark and a few other people, and I know that there were plenty of Charlo family members looking for this recognition for Tommy and the Saunier family as well. And so it's a really nice night tonight because, you know, we haven't honored boxers in the past, and the Hall of Fame committee is working and back together, and, you know, it's historic interest to the city of Waterbury. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Joe Palladino, who has been a great supporter not only of the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame, but every athletic institution and historic institution in the city of Waterbury. So, you know, we have some fun here tonight, and it's Christmas time. And so I'm really pleased to see everyone here. There's so many familiar faces, and I just love the fact that we are one of the very few cities who support the people who made us who we are. We support our veterans, we support our manufacturers, we support the people who really made this city great, and we're hoping that we're continuing and trying to keep it great. We've had a few challenges through the years, but I think we're heading in the right direction. Of course, I'm very biased when I say that, right? But I'm really honored to be here tonight to see all of you. I'm very interested in listening to the ceremony and watching the presentations. And I just want to say before I leave, Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you all have a nice, blessed holiday. And I also hope you have a healthy and prosperous new year. Thank you.
I'd just like to mention, I had a mental blackout when I was introducing or talking about Tommy Charlo. And I said, Mr. Charlo, and I said, oh, I can't remember his name, but it's Tommy Charlo. And I had read so much about him as I was growing up, and knew he was a fireman. My godfather, Steve Borway, was a fireman, and they used to work together, I guess, at one time or another in one of the firehouses here in Waterbury. I'd like to just briefly talk to you about the Hall of Fame and how we got to this point. The Hall of Fame, as was mentioned, started in 1987, and every year we have asked through the newspaper and through other venues, now with Facebook and all the other social media sites, for people to nominate people who made a significant contribution to the city of Waterbury's sports and sports programs. And over the years, Hank was the first one that we put in, and then over the years, we kind of were lacked. The people that are on the committee, Joe Gary is here, and Joe and myself, Sam Leisring is here. We're three of the original members of that committee. And the guys will tell you, we had very prominent Waterbury people on that committee, and they were sort of centered on the City Amateur League baseball. And if you notice some of the names of the people who've been introduced, some of you may remember many of them. They were all people who helped make Waterbury the city that it is through their playing baseball. We started to get, especially when Joe Palladino became the sports editor, I don't know, Joe, maybe I'm giving you a boost, but he works for the Waterbury Republican and he does a great job on the sports pages. Joe started saying, you know, you got a lot of baseball players there and there's other athletes that belong in there. And we would tell him, but Joe, we get nominations, we get other people, but you know, at this stage as we're moving along, this is how it works out. Just as an example, George Mulligan, who was a boxing promoter in the city of Waterbury, he was one that the old timers at first brought his name up because he as I said, he promoted a lot of the fights. Over the years, Tommy Charlo has been nominated 6, 7 times. And I was trying to figure out, I think it's like 32, 33 years. One member of his family, I don't remember who, but he would submit the name and it would be considered and it would go past the wayside. I'm forgetting, I got so many names. Jackie Harmon, and you know, I made mention to the mayor before. It's very easy for me to remember Irish names since I'm an Irishman myself. But anyway, Jackie Harmon was a Frenchman. But back in the day, if you were going to be a fighter, it really didn't go too well. And I asked to be called Rudolph Desoniers. It didn't go. And so he changed his name to Jackie Harmon. He was a fighting Irishman, and he had everybody pulling for him. The two people that I personally remember from boxing, I do remember Tommy Charlo because my godfather used to talk about him all the time. And the other guy I remembered was Irish Pat Mullane from Naugatuck, Connecticut, was a good fighter. I had the privilege of coaching, we called him Champ Larvey, who's here tonight, his father Lucian, and his uncle. They were two good fighters. So now we come to get back to my original thought. We come this year to the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame, and we have a Joe Bagnall, Pudgy Maya, Sammy, Pete Morrissey, Joe Gary, Joe McGraw, Mark, myself. We talked together before we started this year, and the mayor was very helpful to us also. And we said, you know, maybe we ought to listen to what some of the people are saying. And maybe we ought to think about putting a boxer in. And so now we come down to, well, we've got Johnny Harmon, am I saying that right? Jackie Harmon, and we've got Tommy Charlo. So we said, well, Jesus, now that's going to be a pain. And again, let me tell you, the plaques that will be unveiled over here in a little bit of time, those plaques are, and I've said this if you've been here before, those are the same plaques that are in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. And those plaques are approximately $4,500 to $5,000, depending on how many you buy. If you buy one, it's $5,000. If you buy two, they give you a break at $4,500 for the second one. So it's not an easy proposition to come up with that money. But through Mayor O'Leary, he has found a way for us to get the two plaques this year. And he said, put two guys in. Well, now it became easy because we had the two best fighters that most of us can remember eligible to put into Hall of Fame. And I have to tell you right now, the vote was unanimous for both guys. There was no people saying, no, I don't want him. That was it. Everybody went along with it 100% because we do have to listen to you folks. So we were very happy when we announced who was going to go in, and it turned out to be great. You know, some people were saying, I don't know if you're going to have anybody there tonight. I said, oh, there'll be people there. I know Steve Barone, who I have coffee with every morning, he said to me, today I said, geez, we're hoping for a good crowd, you know, you don't know. He said, don't worry about it, the North End will be there. And he was right. So we're very happy to welcome all of you, and we're very proud to put these two gentlemen into the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame. Our first inductee is Jackie Harmon. As I said, his name was, and I'll probably get this wrong again, but it was Rudolph Desoniers. As I told you, he changed his name while he was fighting because people said you'll get more people to be involved and things will work out better for you if you do it. Jackie was he was in the Mulligan era of fighting. He fought in the middle to late 20s. He was ranked as one of the top 10 featherweights or flyweights featherweights in Ring Magazine. He fought Frank Gennaro for the flyweight championship in 1931 up at Lakewood Park. Now, Lakewood Park, you say, well, where did they have the fights up there at Lakewood Park? I can't tell you, but I think that building is knocked down now, Ronnie, isn't it? I don't remember. My dad used to talk about those guys, but I don't remember. Anyway, he did Waterbury proud in that particular fight, and he went on to fight in many other top-notch fighters, and he brought a lot of credit and a lot of people who at Waterbury at that time, it was start of the Depression. There wasn't a hell of a lot people had forward, could look to, and none of us probably remember it, but you know from your parents what it was like. And to have somebody like Jackie Harmon up there fighting for Waterbury from the South End, I would say also, it became a privilege. And we were very proud and we're very happy to induct this year, as one of the nominees this year, Jackie Harmon. I'd like his son, Ronnie Desoniers, to come up and say a few words. By the way, Ronnie, I shouldn't have a hard time with him because we played baseball together all our lives.
Don't laugh. I'd like to thank members of the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame for this great honor they bestowed on my father, AKA Jackie Harmon. and our family. I would also like to thank Mayor O'Leary, who was instrumental in reviving the Hall of Fame last year after an 11-year absence. And also Mark Lombardo, Supervisor of Parks, for his coordination of tonight's events and the making of the plaque that will hang in the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame. I would also like to offer our family's congratulations to the family of Tommy Charlo, tonight's other inductee. My father came from Canada as an 18-year-old in 1924 and settled in the south end of Waterbury, which was predominantly French-Canadian at the time. He joined the Franco-American boxing stable and fought under the name Jackie Harmon because Rodolphe Desonniers just wouldn't have cut it in boxing. He won the Connecticut Flyweight Championship in consecutive years of 1926 and 1927. He was ineligible to fight in the 1928 Olympics due to a technicality, but he did get to fight the gold medal winner of those Olympics, Mr. Antal Koskas of Poland, in 1930, who also turned professional in 1928, and was undefeated in his first 5 bouts on his tour of the United States. According to newspaper accounts, Jackie Harmon had the best of the bout from start to finish, winning in a unanimous decision. He turned professional in 1928 and climbed steadily up the ranks, being named one of the top 10 flyweights in the world by Ring Magazine, then the Bible of Boxing. This culminated in a world championship fight with Frankie Gennaro, the reigning champ, in July of 1931. That fight was held right here in Waterbury. Let me find my place. At the old Lakewood Arena, one of only 3 championship fights ever held in Waterbury, my father being the only Waterbury resident. He lost that fight, but he did get to fight for the top spot in his weight class. He retired from boxing in 1932 and went to work at Mattituck Manufacturing, where he met and became a lifelong friend of Mr. Clyde Garthwaite Sr., who in 1939 started his own business and hired my father as the first employee of Clydell Manufacturing, a still thriving Waterbury business of close to 80 years. In 1937, he had married my mother, Gabriel Hewitt, and eventually had 3 children: my older brother, Robert, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, myself, and my younger sister, Muriel, all of us having been born, raised, and educated in Waterbury. My father was a humble, soft-spoken, church-going man and rarely spoke of his boxing days. He was involved in his church and helped promote several smokers that were run in the basement of St. Anne's Church. He was also the boxing instructor of a youth boxing clinic in the mid-50s run out of the old Anderson School basement on East Main Street, started by a gentleman by the name of Jack Larrabee, who had 2 brothers, Leo and Lucian Larrabee, on that Franco-American boxing team, which incidentally had 3 state champions on its rolls. He retired from Clydell in 1972 after 33 years of faithful service, and he and my mother moved to Hitchcock Lake and Wolcott to live out their retirement. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1978 after only 6 years of retirement. I feel my father's boxing career, when boxing was the second most followed sport in the U.S., left the name Jackie Harmon from Waterbury, Connecticut, in the minds and on the lips of many people throughout Connecticut, New England, and nationally. Again, from the Desonniers family, thank you for this great honor.
I would like to call up Mark Lombardo, who has a presentation to give to Ronnie.
To the Sauniers family, we have 2 proclamations, one from Senator Richard Blumenthal's office and the other from the office of the mayor, Neil M. O'Leary. Thank you.
Thank you. you very much.
Ronnie, we would now like you to go over to Joe Begnell, who is going to unveil the plaque for the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame. I want to mention one thing. We will be here afterwards, and you can take all the pictures with your families and everything else up there, and feel free to do that. Thank you, Ron. Before I go on any further, I want to mention I just saw Tony Santoro standing over there. Tony is a member of our Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame committee, and Tony is the guy who's responsible for the Mickey Mantle World Series that's held here in Waterbury in the summertime. Again, through the efforts of the mayor and Tony, that has become a big thing here in Waterbury. One other thing I want to mention, this is the last year that these plaques will hang in the entrance to Municipal Stadium. Again, even though I have been his campaign manager, I do want to promote and thank the mayor for the fact that they're building now a new building over in Municipal Stadium. That building will house the Hall of Fame, the Hank O'Donnell Fame committees, or the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame plaques, and you will be free to go in there at any time and view them. With that in mind, I'd like to talk a little bit to you about Tommy Charlo. And again, I'll talk from personal feelings. When my aunt used to live on Walnut Street, and there was my aunt's house, there was an oil company, and then there was the firehouse in that section. And one day, my father said to me when we were at my aunt's house, he said, my father's best friend was Steve Borway. And my father said to me, you want to go meet a boxing champion? And back then, boxing champions to me were like Willie Pep, Kid Gavilan, Sugar Ray Robertson, those, Joe Louis. And so I said, yeah, I'd like to go, Dad. And so we went over, and Tommy Charlo was working in the Walnut Street Firehouse at that time. And my father, Tommy came out because he knew my godfather, and my father introduced me to him. And I can remember thinking, boy, if anybody ever looked like a fighter, this guy looked like he could handle himself. And it was kind of something that stayed with me over the years, and I'm very happy tonight that we were able to get this thing done. Tommy Charlo, he was born in Waterbury. Again, a criteria for the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame. There's one of two ways you get in. You have to be born in Waterbury and you're eligible. Or if you weren't born in Waterbury, you had to make a significant contribution to sports in the city. Now, Tommy did both. He was born and raised here, and he made a significant contribution. In 1937, he won the state lightweight championship. He turned pro. He went on to fight throughout the United States as well as Venezuela and Cuba. Tommy was best remembered for his 3 fights with Kid Gavilan. Now again, personally, I used to watch the fights on Friday night. Johnny Addy at Madison Square Garden. They also had them in St. Nick's Arena. There were fights in St. Nick's Arena on a different night. But one of the most famous fighters of that time was Kid Gavilan. He was from Cuba, I think, and he was famous for his bolo punch. And I don't know if any of you remember that, but I did. And Tommy fought him 3 times. He fought him to a draw one time, and he lost 2 other times, but he was tough. He was tough. Kid Gavlan is often talked about one of the hardest fights he ever had was with Tommy Charlo. Tommy got out of boxing like a lot of our parents and grandparents did when World War II started. He served his country. He went and served the country. He joined the Army. He fought in World War II. He was awarded a Purple Heart. When he got done, he came back to the city of Waterbury, and as we all know, he joined the Waterbury Fire Department where he worked for many, many years. Again, when I was a kid, if I saw Tommy, not even a kid, I was a young adult, and if I saw Tommy Charlo walking on the street, I'd say, oh, that's the guy I met. That's Tommy Charlo. I know some of his sons. Some of them are my age or close to it, and I remember them as athletes who went to St. Lucy's and played basketball and baseball up there. So the family is well recognized in the North End. It's unusual tonight that we have the North End and the South End. And so we're very, very, very happy that Tommy is a member. I would like to ask Joe Charlo to come up and say a few words and accept the presentation. Joe?
Wow, what an interesting and exciting evening for us, the Charlo family, and recognizing, I'm going to say Jackie Harmon family, because that's a little easier. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the committee for considering our fathers and having this wonderful, wonderful evening and presentation for us. Wow, you know, my dad and your dad both started boxing when they were teenagers. I mean, I think that's pretty incredible. That was a way of life for them, that they were, I guess, pretty tough guys and found a way to make a living at it. At one point I realized my dad fought sometimes every other week, twice a month. And that was, boy, what they did in the day, I guess, not like today. And they were men of men, I guess. I would say for my dad, and I hope I can speak for your family, that they really had a love of family, a love for the sport of boxing, and a love for the city of Waterbury. They truly, truly represented the city of Waterbury and really put it on the map. Jackie Harmon had that world champion fight here in Waterbury. One other thing that I just want to mention, and I'd be amiss again if I didn't thank Mayor Neil O'Leary and the committee for considering our dad and actually nominating him. We're, again, very proud. But Waterbury was quite the sports center. We had, I looked this up. There was Mayor's Arena, Waterbury Sports Center, the Phoenix Arena, Lakewood Arena, the Brasco Arena, Randolph Cloud Stadium, Buckingham Hall, Municipal Stadium. I mean, there were sports venues throughout the city that were utilized and brought all kinds of activity to the city sports-wise. So again, we are just thrilled, pleased. My brothers, our family, your family, and committee, and Mr. Mayor, thank you. And Bobby Brown, thank you, sir. Beautiful. Thank you.
Again, we have proclamations from Senator Richard Blumenthal's office and also from the City of Waterbury Mayor O'Leary's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Again, that pretty much concludes our program. We are very, very happy that you all came. We are very happy that these two gentlemen are in the Hank O'Donnell Hall of Fame. They belong there. They should be remembered for all they did for the city of Waterbury. And with that said, anybody who wants to go up and take the plaques individually and hold them and put family members around, whatever you want to do. We got through the program very quickly, and we're not going anywhere else, so if you want to come up and take photos, be our guest. Again, thank you for coming. Merry Christmas, and I want Mayor O'Leary to just close this program so you get his best wishes.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. I just realized Tommy Charlo worked with my father. My father's in the fire department for those years as well. Anyways, again, you know, I really can't tell you what an honor it is to be the mayor and be able to put together some of these things that have been started and then discontinued for a variety of different reasons and then started up again. And this is one perfect example of it. The Mantle World Series that was spoken of earlier with Tony and Ray Brown is another prime example of it. There's a lot of good things going on. We're really proud to support the things that brought Waterbury the recognition that these two gentlemen did and their families. So thank you all. God bless all of you, and really enjoy the holiday season. We have a lot to be thankful for. Thanks.
Congratulations, it's a wonderful thing. Hey, how are you? Boy, those are beautiful.